Do you know what makes someone successful? Is it a situation? Is it what other people think about them? Is it in their own mind? What is it? We're going to explore that today in this video and define success for you. And stay tuned to the end to make sure you hear the advice in each section so that you can understand what success looks like for yourself. Go ahead and hit the subscribe and notification bell if you want more content like this in the future that'll help you grow in your coding career. My name is Jason Humphrey. I help developers who feel stuck in what they're doing find a path forward so they can ultimately get the job they're looking for. The first question we have to answer today is, what is success? Right? Let's look up the dictionary definition now. Let's get started there. And as you see, as I pop it over the screen, it says the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. But what if we're aiming at all the wrong things? Well, that's not really good enough. Well, I have a better definition for you now, and this is how I define success, but it opens up a lot of other questions we're gonna have to answer today. Success is the attainment of your potential. And you're probably already like, right, potential. That's a rabbit hole. But there's a bunch of different ways we can define potential for yourself, because knowing your potential and heading towards it will know how successful we are. Because if we reach all your potential, I would say you're extremely successful. At the same time, your potential is defined a couple different ways. So let's look at that now. The first way your potential can be defined is by your situation. Prime example, you're at work. Potentially you were moved on to a new team. You weren't promoted, but you were moved into a leadership role, that now you have a ton more responsibility, and now your potential will be defined by the situation you're in. And this situation deems that you now have a ton of work and you've got a lot of responsibility, and that you can only go so far with your budget, your time, and the employees you have with you. And so that bar is pretty easy to find, I think, for ourselves, but you must watch out when your potential is defined by your situation, because this is where people can take the victim mentality. And we don't want that here, because yes, life is tough and you get put into certain situations, but it's how you ultimately overcome them that's going to matter for defining your own success here. So don't fall into that trap. Make sure that when you're defining success for yourself in a situation, that you look to see how you can always upgrade or update your situation or make it a bit better, even if it's just taking a positive attitude into the situation every day. The second way of figuring out your potential here is by how people think about you. And I absolutely can't stand this one because I don't agree with it. But this is the most common one that happens to people all the time. They let other people define their success for them because they put the ceiling on their potential. And I'm going to give you a couple examples on why you shouldn't let that happen and why we should toss this one out the window, even though it happens to a majority of people. Let me give you a couple examples right now. First example here with this is within your own family. And let me give you this because this is near and dear to me, but I imagine this might relate to some of you in life. My own mother, if you're watching this, sorry you got pulled into this. She told me my whole life that you're asking for too much. Stop that. Like, don't do that. You know, you don't need to always negotiate, or you should just stop that and just count your blessings and just take it easy and don't ask for so much. And really what's happening here is she's putting her beliefs on me. And that's where, when you accept that, now your potential is lowered. Your potential could be so much higher, but you let someone else affect you, even if it's your own mother. I get it. They love you near and dear and they want you to be safe. But that is going to lower the ability for you to be successful. So with the second example, it comes as a close friend. And potentially you can relate to this, where your friend comes up to you and goes, look, Jason, you are the man. You're fantastic. You know, inflate your ego is what they're going to do first. But you know what you should do? Really, think about focusing on only one thing. Like, just focus on your job. Or, maybe just focus on mentoring 1 or 2 students a week. Take it easy, Life's short. And to that I say, what? Because you believe you couldn't do what I do, that I shouldn't do it either, and that my potential is so high, but you want me to bring it back down so that maybe you don't feel bad about yourself anymore. Even though that's not what they're going to say, right? They mean it all and well in good faith, but it's truthfully not. It's really just going to lower your potential. Now your ceiling is this much lower, because I'll tell you right now, from experience, you can work a 40-hour week job. You can work another 20-hour week part-time job and still have time to build a business on the side. by mentoring people. Oh, by the way, let's not forget about this YouTube channel, which takes like 2 to 3 hours, maybe even 4, on almost every video I put out. So think about that with all the videos you've seen. I'll tell you right now, if you have time management skills, if you're diligent, if you're a hard worker, and you never quit, this shit's easy. The third example here is how your company can kind of lower your potential by telling you some different things, such as, oh, you got a promotion last year, you're not going to get one this year. Or you were rated really high and got a great end of year review, but you can't get a high rating, an A rating again 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row. It's just not possible. And they put these things on, and they say this because I get it. They probably want to be fair, right? If you get a promotion, next year the next person gets a promotion. But what happens if you truly deserve it? What happens if your potential is so high that they can't deny you it? And because of what they've said, you've now lowered your potential. Prime example, I've been talking with a mentor of mine, Craig Rogers, and one of his favorite things to say is don't let your job own your career. You own your own career. And that's exactly what I'm getting at right here is the job is going to try to tell you with your career that you can't get promoted 3 times in 3 years. And I'm here to tell you the hell with that. Of course you can. But it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of time management, a good amount of planning in there and some strategy and some coaches around you to really make you better. And that's exactly what's happened to me. I never let my ceiling, my potential drop low. Like they told me, you can't have that. You can't get promoted 3 times in 3 years. Yeah, well, who's laughing now? I am. I went from software engineer to principal engineer in 3 years. You know why that is? It's because I never let anyone bring my potential down. I always knew my potential was up at the top places that I could reach. And that's exactly what I did. And that's where people accept bringing their potential down. I'm going to encourage you today not to let your potential come down, because that's exactly what they want you to do. Whether it's your family just trying to keep you safe, whether it's your friends just potentially putting limiting beliefs on you because they have their own limiting beliefs, or it's your company trying to, be fair to everyone. Don't let your potential be pulled down. And the last way that I see that your potential can be defined is by you. And this is where only you can hold yourself back. And it's all about what you do, what you think, what your mindset is, what your goals are. All these things you put in place will affect your potential, because if you have a positive mindset about how you can get and do anything, then your potential's high. If you put your goals up there high and have great ambition, like I did in the last video about 25,000 subscribers this year, I'm going to leave that ceiling very high, because if I can reach that, that's a tough ass goal. That my potential to do all the things I'm doing and hit 25K subs, that's good. That's real good. So what I'm getting at here overall with this part is that this is up to you, and how you define other things in your life will affect your potential. And when we talk about being successful and the attainment of your potential, you leave the bar as high as you want it. The second you leave that bar lower, you're going to be just a little bit less successful. Because when we talk about numbers, I love numbers, but let's be honest, there's an 80-20 rule out there. Let's say we hit just 80% of our 100% potential. That's fantastic. We can call home about that. That's great. If I hit 80% of my potential every time, life would be good because of how high I set the bar. But if I drop the bar now 50% and I'm only going to hit 80% of that 50, truth be told, then I'm only hitting 40% of my original 100 when I could have hit 80%, and the numbers are wishy-washy there, right? I get that's an on-the-spot example, but the point remains that you set the bar high. It's where you fall under that bar is up to you. Now that we know that our potential defines our bar, where we're at, and that we have to shoot for success in our potential, and we know where to go and where to fall under that, let's talk about a couple of roadblocks in your way, because I realize that this is so easy to just talk about and throw things out there like, yeah, don't let them define you, keep the bar high, easy, right? No, let's be really honest about this. There are a ton of roadblocks in the way. Success will never be in your favor, and I'm here to tell you that today. First and foremost, the 3 things we just covered are the exact same roadblocks you're going to have to go through right away, in the sense of your situation potentially will be a big roadblock. Your network and who you listen to could be a roadblock, and your own mindset, your own goals, your own things you set could be a roadblock for you in success. That's not what I want to harp on more in this section. In this section, I want to talk about, success is never in your favor. That's probably the biggest roadblock in itself is success. So what can you do to potentially put success in your favor? Well, first and foremost, karma. Whether one believes in it or not, I'll tell you this right now. You do good things will come back to you. You try to cut corners, bad things will eventually catch up to you. The next thing to do to put it in your favor is hard work, is to put in the extra hours, to put in the time that's needed and necessary for you to dedicate to your craft to get better. Third is finding a mentor or a coach that's been to where you want to be that will help you put the odds in your favor. And last but not least, never giving up. You do those 4 things, that will start to sway success in your favor. There are a couple things I want you to keep in mind as we go forward from today. And the first is that great song by Queen.
I want it all, and I want it now.
I'm not a great singer. I hope to God I can find auto-tune for that. Here's why I bring that up. Because that song makes me think about phrasing the question differently. Yes, we want it now, and yes, we want to keep our potential up, and we want it all right now. More often than not, people don't accept they can have it all right now or think they can have it all right now. And more often than not, you probably can't. But if you phrase the question instead of what I want right now and what can I get or what is it, figure out how to get it. Change that question to how. How do I go about getting 5 investment properties this year? Not why can't I or what can't I do? How can I get 5 investment properties this year? The second thing I want you to keep in mind is that YouTube video that's gone around before about how bad you want to breathe. It's a fantastic motivational video where a young mentee wants to be mentored by this guru, and he follows what the guru says, and eventually the guru says come out into the water. He comes out into the water and the guru holds his head underwater, and before you know it, the guy realizes he can't breathe and starts kicking and flailing and do whatever it takes to come up for a breath of air. And in the story, the guru pulls him up and the mentee starts telling him he's all crazy and you're insane, and the guru just says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you will be successful. And I love to think about that video because it's the truth. Like, you want to be successful and hit that potential that you leave that bar very high with? Great. Do you want it as bad as you want to breathe? If you do, the last thing I want you to keep in mind is the Will Smith video years and years ago about how you never want to compete with that man. How if you're going to get on the treadmill with him to compete, there's 2 things that's going to happen. Either you're going to get off or he's going to die on that treadmill. Because he's going to win no matter what. He will do whatever it takes. And so I really love that quote, I would die on a treadmill before I lose. Now with these 3 examples, they relate back to exactly what I was just talking about. If you truly never give up, like Will Smith and dying on a treadmill, you'll go very far. If you truly want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, you'll put in all the hard work that's necessary. And if you want it all, and you want it now, and you start asking the question about how and not what, well, your mentor will help you figure that exact question out to help you get to where you want to be. With everything I said today, ultimately I want you to take away this, that you define your own potential. Your situation can have an effect on that, and other people can have an effect on that. But ultimately, you define your potential, and it's you that live up to it. And there's ways to swing success in your favor, but it doesn't come easy, and it comes with a lot of work and a lot of effort. If you like today's content, make sure you hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe notification bell to get more content like this in the future. And as I end today's video, just remember this, that success is the attainment of your potential, and it's up to you to define what your potential is and how high you truly set it.